Over 80% of people use the words citizenship and passport as if they mean the same thing. But here's the shocking truth. They don't. In fact, confusing the two could cost you your voting rights, your travel freedom, or even your legal protection in another country. Imagine thinking you're fully Canadian, only to discover there's a major difference between holding a passport and actually being a citizen. Sounds dramatic? It is, and it matters more than most people realize. Here's something even more surprising. You can be a Canadian citizen without a passport, and in some rare situations, you can lose your passport without losing your citizenship. One gives you legal belonging, the other gives you global mobility. One defines who you are under Canadian law. The other is simply a document that lets you cross borders. So why do so many people mix them up? Today, we're breaking down the 10 critical differences between Canadian citizenship and a Canadian passport. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why knowing this could protect your rights, your future, and your freedom. Stay with me. This is more important than you think. Number 1. Status versus document. Let's start with the most important difference, and the one almost everyone misunderstands. Canadian citizenship is your legal status. A Canadian passport is simply a document. That's it. But that simple distinction changes everything. When you become a Canadian citizen, you gain a permanent legal identity under Canadian law. You are officially recognized as a full member of the country. This status gives you powerful rights protected under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, including the right to vote, live anywhere in Canada, and receive protection from the government. Citizenship is not something you carry in your pocket. It's something that defines your relationship with the country itself. A passport, on the other hand, is a travel document issued to citizens. Its main purpose is to prove your identity and nationality when you cross international borders. It has an expiry date. It can be renewed. It can even be canceled in certain situations. But none of that changes your citizenship status. Even if your passport expires tomorrow, you are still a Canadian citizen. Think of it this way. Citizenship is the foundation of the house. The passport is the key to the front door when you travel abroad. One represents belonging. The other represents mobility. Understanding this difference is practical. If you're planning to live abroad long-term, you might not renew your passport immediately, but your citizenship remains secure. If you're a permanent resident, no matter how long you've lived in Canada, you cannot get a Canadian passport until you become a citizen. Simple, but powerful. If this video is giving you clarity, take a second and comment citizenship or passport. Which one did you think meant the same thing before today? We put serious effort into breaking these topics down simply. So please subscribe. It's just one click. But it helps us create more videos like this for you. Number 2. Rights you cannot lose easily. Here's where things get serious. Citizenship is protected by law. A passport is not. And that difference can matter more than you think. When you are a Canadian citizen, your rights are protected under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That means you have constitutional protection, the right to enter Canada, remain in Canada, vote in elections, and receive equal treatment under the law. Citizenship is not something that disappears because of paperwork delays or an expired document. It is deeply rooted in Canada's legal system. A passport, however, is administrative. It is issued by the government, and it comes with conditions. It expires every 5 or 10 years. It can be suspended in cases of fraud, security concerns, or even certain legal restrictions. If your passport expires while you are abroad, you might face travel delays, but you are still a citizen. Tata, your legal identity does not vanish just because a booklet expired. This distinction gives peace of mind. Imagine losing your wallet while traveling. Stressful? Absolutely. But losing your passport does not erase your citizenship. You still have the right to return home. The passport is proof of your status, not the source of it. Understanding this protects you from fear and misinformation. Many people panic when a passport issue arises, thinking their citizenship is at risk. It's not that simple. Citizenship is foundational. A passport is procedural. One is tied to your constitutional identity. The other is tied to travel administration. And knowing that difference gives you confidence, especially if you ever face unexpected travel or legal complications. If this cleared up a myth for you, drop a comment saying, "Stronger than a passport. I read every single one." And if you appreciate the time and research we put into simplifying complex topics, please subscribe. It's just one click, but it truly helps us keep creating valuable content for you. Number 3, voting power. Here's a question that changes how you see this entire topic. Who actually gets to decide Canada's future? The answer is simple. Citizens do. Not passport holders. Not permanent residents. Only citizens. One of the most powerful rights that comes with Canadian citizenship is the right to vote in federal, provincial, and municipal elections. This right is protected under Canadian law and is one of the strongest symbols of belonging. When you vote, you're not just checking a box on a ballot. You're shaping policies, leadership, and the direction of the country. That power comes directly from citizenship status. A passport, however, does not give you that power. It doesn't grant political influence. It doesn't allow you to run for public office. It doesn't give you a say in national decisions. The passport simply proves who you are when you travel. It does not give you a voice in democracy. This is where many people get confused. Someone may hold a Canadian passport and assume that document is the source of their rights. It's not. The citizenship behind the passport is what matters. Without citizenship, there is no voting power, no matter how long you've lived in Canada. Think about it this way. Citizenship gives you a seat at the table. A passport just helps you cross borders. One connects you to the nation's future. The other connects you to the world. Understanding this difference helps you see that citizenship is more than paperwork. It's participation. It's responsibility, it's influence, and that's something no travel document can replace. If having a voice in a country matters to you, comment "My vote matters" below. I want to see how many future voters are watching. We spend hours researching and crafting these videos, so if you value clear, honest breakdowns like this, please subscribe. It's just one click, but it means everything to this channel. Number 4. Running for public office. Now let's take it one step further. Voting is powerful. But what if you want to do more than vote? What if you want to lead? Only Canadian citizens can run for public office at the federal level. That means if you dream of becoming a member of parliament, influencing national laws, or representing your community in government, you must hold citizenship status. A passport alone does not qualify you. It doesn't unlock leadership roles. It doesn't make you eligible to sit in parliament or shape legislation. This is where the distinction becomes even clearer. Citizenship isn't just about having rights. It's about having the full opportunity to participate in the country's future. It opens doors to positions of responsibility, influence, and national decision-making. Imagine living in Canada for decades, contributing to your community, building a career. But without citizenship, you cannot run for federal office. So even if you travel with a Canadian passport, it's your citizenship that determines eligibility, not the document itself. A passport may allow you to travel the world, but it cannot place your name on a ballot. Citizenship, on the other hand, allows you to stand before the country and say, "I'm ready to serve." This highlights something important. Citizenship connects you to Canada's governance and leadership structure. It represents trust, belonging, and responsibility at the highest level. A passport represents mobility, nothing more. So if leadership, influence, or public service ever interests you, remember this. The pathway begins with citizenship. That's the real key to shaping a nation. If you believe leadership should start with belonging, comment "future leader" below. I'd love to know who's watching with big dreams. We dedicate serious effort to breaking down complex topics like this, so please subscribe. It's just one click, and it helps us keep delivering value-packed videos for you. Number 5. Protection. Abroad. Now imagine this. You're in a foreign country. Something goes wrong. Maybe you lose your documents, face a legal issue, or there's a sudden emergency. Who steps in to help you? This is where the difference between citizenship and a passport becomes very real. Your Canadian citizenship gives you the right to seek assistance from Canadian embassies and consulates abroad. This is called consular protection. It can include help replacing a lost passport, contacting family members, providing a list of local lawyers, or assisting during crises like natural disasters or political unrest. That protection exists because you are a citizen. Your passport, however, is simply the tool that proves your citizenship when you're outside Canada. It tells foreign authorities, this person belongs to Canada. But the passport itself is not the source of protection. Your citizenship is. Here's the key difference. If your passport is lost or stolen, your citizenship remains untouched. You still have the right to protection and assistance. The embassy doesn't protect the booklet, it protects the citizen behind it. Think of citizenship as your shield. The passport is your identification card showing that shield exists. One guarantees your connection to Canada. The other helps activate that connection when you travel. Understanding this can bring peace of mind. Travel becomes less about fear of losing a document and more about knowing your legal status remains secure. Because at the end of the day, it's not the passport that brings you home. It's your citizenship. If knowing this makes you feel more confident about traveling, comment "protected abroad" below. I'd love to hear where you're watching from. We invest real time and research into making these videos simple and powerful, so please subscribe. It's just one click, but it helps us continue creating content that truly matters. Number 6. Dual citizenship. Here's something many people find exciting and confusing. Canada allows dual citizenship, meaning you can legally be a citizen of Canada and another country at the same time. That also means you could hold 2 passports. Sounds powerful, right? It is. But there's an important distinction most people overlook. Holding 2 passports does not mean you have 2 interchangeable identities at all times. Your citizenship status determines your legal rights and obligations in each country. A passport is simply proof of citizenship. It does not override the laws tied to that citizenship. For example, when you enter Canada using a Canadian passport, you are treated strictly as a Canadian citizen under Canadian law. If you enter another country using that country's passport, you may be treated solely as their citizen. In some countries, that could involve tax obligations, civic duties, or even mandatory service requirements. The passport you use matters for travel, but your citizenship determines your responsibilities. This is why understanding the difference is practical. Some people assume that having multiple passports means maximum flexibility without consequences. But citizenship carries legal weight beyond the travel document. Think of passports as keys to different doors. Citizenship, however, represents your membership inside those homes. You may have multiple keys, but each home has its own rules. So if you're considering applying for Canadian citizenship while keeping another nationality, it's wise to understand both countries' laws. Because while passports give you mobility, citizenship defines your legal standing in each nation. If you could hold 2 passports, would you? Comment dual power if that sounds exciting to you. We put serious thought and effort into creating these clear breakdowns. So please subscribe. It's just one click, and it helps us continue delivering valuable content for you. Number 7. Residency requirements. This is where the journey truly begins. Before someone becomes a Canadian citizen, they must meet strict residency requirements. In most cases, permanent residents must physically live in Canada for a specific number of days within a 5-year period before they can even apply for citizenship. This requirement proves commitment, connection, and integration into Canadian society. Citizenship is not automatic. It is earned through time, presence, tamar, and legal eligibility. Applicants must also meet language requirements, pass a citizenship test about Canada's history and laws, and demonstrate that they've met tax obligations. In other words, becoming a citizen requires active participation in the country. Now compare that to a passport renewal. Once you are already a citizen, renewing your passport is a much simpler administrative process. You don't need to live in Canada to renew it. 2. A Canadian citizen living abroad for 10 or even 20 years can still apply to renew their passport. Their citizenship status remains intact, regardless of where they currently live. That's the major difference. Residency is required to become a citizen, but not to remain one. And it's certainly not required just to renew a passport. This matters especially for immigrants planning their long-term future. If you're a permanent resident, staying outside Canada too long could affect your PR status. But once you become a citizen, that security becomes permanent. Think of residency as the bridge to citizenship. Once you cross it, your legal status becomes far more stable than any passport expiry date. If you're currently on the path to citizenship, comment "on my journey" below. I'd love to know where you are in the process. We dedicate hours to researching and simplifying topics like this, so please subscribe. It's just one click, and it truly supports the work behind these videos. Number 8. Permanent resident versus citizen. This is one of the biggest misunderstandings. Many people believe that living in Canada for a long time automatically gives them the same rights as citizens. But here's the truth. Permanent residency and citizenship are not the same, and a passport is proof you've crossed that final line. A permanent resident, often called a PR, has the right to live, work, and study in Canada. They can access health care and social benefits, and they can build a life just like anyone else. But there are limits. Permanent residents cannot vote in federal elections. They cannot run for federal office. And most importantly for this discussion, they cannot apply for a Canadian passport. Only citizens are eligible for a Canadian passport. That passport is not something you qualify for based on how long you've lived in Canada. It's issued only after citizenship is granted. So while PR status gives you opportunity, 2. Citizenship gives you permanence and full participation. There's also a stability factor. Permanent residency can be lost if residency obligations are not met. Citizenship, once granted, is far more secure and protected under Canadian law. Think of permanent residency as having a long-term visa to build your future. Citizenship is becoming part of the foundation itself. And the passport? That's the visible symbol that you've officially arrived at that final stage. Understanding this helps you plan wisely. If Canada is your long-term home, citizenship offers deeper security, and the passport is simply the confirmation of that achievement. If you're currently a PR aiming for citizenship, comment "Next step, citizen" below. I'm cheering for you. We put real effort into making these complex topics simple, so please subscribe. It's just one click. but it helps us keep creating content that truly makes a difference. Number 9. Revocation and cancellation. Now let's talk about something most people never think about: losing your status versus losing your document. These are two very different situations, and understanding the difference can prevent unnecessary fear. Revoking Canadian citizenship is extremely rare and legally complex. It usually happens only in serious cases, such as proven fraud during the citizenship application process. Because citizenship is protected under Canadian law, removing it requires a formal legal process. It's not something that happens casually or overnight. There are investigations, legal standards, and opportunities to respond. Citizenship is deeply rooted in constitutional principles. A passport, however, operates under administrative rules. It can be suspended, canceled, or refused renewal for various reasons, including fraud, security concerns, false information, or certain legal restrictions. Unlike citizenship, passport decisions are handled through government administrative procedures. This means it is possible to temporarily lose access to your passport while still remaining a full Canadian citizen. This distinction matters. If someone's passport is canceled, they may feel like they've lost everything. But legally, their citizenship still stands unless a completely separate legal process takes place. Think of it this way. Citizenship is your legal identity. A passport is your travel authorization. One is foundational and difficult to remove. The other is conditional and renewable. Understanding this helps you stay calm and informed. Losing a passport is stressful. Losing citizenship is rare and serious. They are not the same, and they are not triggered in the same way. If this surprised you, comment "Know the difference" below. I'd love to see how many people just learned something new. We spend countless hours researching and simplifying these topics. So please subscribe. It's just one click, but it truly supports the work behind this channel. Number 10. Identity versus mobility. Now we arrive at the final and perhaps most powerful difference. Citizenship defines who you are. A passport defines where you can go. And that distinction shapes how you see your place in the world. Citizenship is about belonging. It connects you to a country's history, laws, culture, and future. It gives you rights, responsibilities, and a permanent legal bond with Canada. It means you have the right to enter the country at any time, to participate in democracy, and to call it home without conditions. Citizenship is your roots, deep, stable, and enduring. A passport, on the other hand, represents movement. It allows you to cross borders, explore new opportunities, and experience the world. It gives you mobility. But mobility without belonging is temporary. A passport can expire. It can be replaced. It can be renewed. It facilitates travel, but it does not create identity. Here's a simple way to picture it. If citizenship is the tree planted firmly in the ground, the passport is the wind that carries its seeds across borders. One anchors you. The other expands your reach. This is why understanding the difference matters so much. Some people focus only on the passport because it feels powerful. Visa-free travel, international access, global recognition. But the real strength lies in the citizenship behind it. In the end, citizenship gives you security and voice. A passport gives you freedom of movement. Together, they're powerful, but they are not the same. And once you understand that, you'll never confuse the two again. If this final point changed how you see citizenship and passports, comment "Roots and Wings" below. I want to hear your thoughts. We put genuine effort into every video, so please subscribe. It's just one click. but it helps us continue creating clear, valuable content just for you. So now you can clearly see it. Citizenship and a passport are connected, but they are not the same. One is your legal foundation. The other is your travel tool. One defines your rights, identity, and belonging. The other supports your mobility and international access. Citizenship gives you the right to vote, to run for office, to live in Canada without conditions, and to receive protection under Canadian law. It is protected, stable, and deeply rooted in the country's legal system. A passport, on the other hand, is a government-issued document that proves your citizenship when you cross borders. It can expire, it can be renewed, it can even be cancelled. But your citizenship remains, unless a completely separate legal process takes place. Understanding this difference isn't just technical knowledge, it's empowering. It helps permanent residents plan their future wisely. It helps dual citizens understand their responsibilities. It helps travelers feel secure, knowing that losing a passport does not mean losing their nationality. Most importantly, it changes how you see your relationship with Canada. A passport may open doors around the world, but citizenship is what anchors you to a nation, politically, legally, and socially. So the next time someone says, citizenship and passport are the same, you'll know better. One gives you roots, the other gives you wings. And when you understand both, you understand your place, not just in Canada, but in the world.